And it's just the first sheet is trusts, or irrevocable question mark. So what he's asking there, is this a revocable or trust revocable or irrevocable, or is that a question? Now I've got to read into this because it's really thoughts here. There's two type of core trusts. Revocable trust, which means you can undo the trust. Irrevocable, meaning you can't undo that trust. Super difficult. And there was a famous story, I guess it goes back a couple years now, previous owner of the Saints, Tom Benson, and he had a irrevocable family trust, and then he decided he wanted to do it different, and that became litigation and then a settlement. How he had to make them somehow happy to do the swap because he couldn't undo the trust. So that never came out in use, and that's part of why you use trusts, is that trust will keep it out of the public view as well. So nobody has any idea on how that was resolved. But irrevocable kind of means, hey, I want this done this way. You know, the kids can't change it. They have to follow my instructions long after I'm gone. Revocable trust essentially is you can put stuff there. It takes it out of public view, but you can change your mind. You can completely undo that. Which should you use? It's going to depend greatly on what you're trying to do. So, and trusts really streamline things from an estate planning standpoint. If you're passed away and you have your stuff, you know, it streamlines that. It doesn't necessarily bypass succession, but it's going to flow through that pretty quickly because it already has everything in place. You'll have a will and pour over will that for anything that's outside the trust's instructions. IRAs, life insurance, annuities go by beneficiary. Some cases they can be in the trust. Some cases they can't, or why would they? IRAs can't be owned by a trust, so that's a different scenario where you're using a inheritance trust.
The pass-through?
Yeah, it's got to be a pass-through. It also has to be irrevocable. It also has to have the beneficiaries in there of who that's passing to, but it can't own the IRA, so those distributions coming from the IRA can pass through that trust and be handled how you're wanting them to do so. So you see, this isn't some simple manner, and everybody that sets up trusts, which typically are attorneys, I don't know of who else would set up legal documents like that, and it should be an attorney, I would think, instead of somebody. If somebody else is setting it up, I'd be highly concerned. With that said, I'll just say all of the legal world doesn't quite understand that part about IRAs, inheritance trusts, and pass-through trusts. So you also need to use one that's kind of their thing in the industry. So it's we use Wes Blanchard of W.J. Blanchard Law, is very, very versed in estate planning. He's kind of our go-to guy on that.
Well, that's all he does, so that's kind of an advantage he has.
Yeah, so we work closely together on that and kind of review situations with him. I think another super important thing is powers of attorney. When we're going there, you know, you may want a trust, but you're going to need a POA, power of attorney. I think you should have instructions for end of life, how you want your family to handle